when I moved to Spain about 7 years ago, I was lucky enough to have my eyes set on Barcelona. This was the only option that I had because at the time this is where I got a job opportunity. However, I know that many of you might be thinking, where in Spain should I live? There's a couple of relocation mistakes that you definitely want to avoid when moving to Spain, and there's some great learning we can get from this recent article that was published on CNN that goes through the story of a couple, Cristina and her husband, who moved to Spain. Unfortunately, after 2 years, decided to go back to Florida in the US. And I think there's a lot that we can learn from their relocation fail in this case. So let's go through it. So first mistake, as you can already see it, is climate variations. So I think this is a common mistakes that can happen, especially if you haven't done your research. When I initially moved to Spain, like I said, I had my eyes set on Barcelona, but I also thought that everywhere in Spain, more or less, would be, warm. And realized actually, as I traveled around Spain, did the Camino de Santiago, the north track of the Camino, ended up going around Cantabria and all the north of Spain for about a month. Let me break it down to you. It rained non-stop. That couple not really prepared for the weather. So you've got a bit of a quote here. So this is a quote from Cristina. So when talking about her relocation phase, what did she say? She said, "I wasn't prepared for how gloomy it would be for several months of the year." Well, yes, you have it. Spain isn't always sunny. You have places in the north of Spain, Santander, Galicia, where it rains a lot. Like I said, I did the Camino de Santiago in September. It ended up raining about 90% of the time. And that's just the reality when you live in north of Spain. And when thinking about this couple, I think it was super interesting because I was reading that they lived in Florida. So imagine the change going from Florida to north of Spain, where it just rains all the time. So this was clearly a mismatch. So you've got different places in Spain, like the south of Spain, Malaga, Alicante, Barcelona, actually, are great, more or less. You have over 300 sunny days of the year. Having said that, as I speak now, we're on March 16th. It's very gloomy. It's been very gloomy in Barcelona for the past 2 weeks. So it really depends. But overall, 7 years in Barcelona, I can tell you that the weather is great. So this is definitely a place you want to have in mind if you're looking for a sunny place to live. So this is a key consideration. Be prepared for regional climate differences. This is a big one. Second lesson that we can learn from this great couple: style and pace. What do they mean by that? Something that Cristina mentioned in this article was that all of the businesses and restaurants in Spain, for most part, were closed at 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. This is something that is common, not everywhere in Spain, but there's many places, especially if you go to villages. I would say in Barcelona, doesn't happen so much, or big cities. But yes, Spain is known for this more relaxed, slow-paced life. So to give you an example, I have friends who live in more they call it pueblo, so more villages, and I tend to go there over the summer, and this happens a lot. So I see that a lot of the restaurants, banks, they close, they do a big break in the afternoon, and they reopen later. This is even more common if you think of places like in Sevilla, where it's super hot. If you were to go to Sevilla in August, peak time, in between 1 and 3, nothing happens. Just because it's so hot, people just stay indoor. Restaurant close, main places close. So this is something that you could, by doing some research, this is something that could have been anticipated. Then when it comes to siestas, this doesn't happen everywhere, but it's true that it's part of the cultural vibe. People like to nap. This is something that I had, naps, they grew on me. At first, I was not so much of a nap type of girl, but now, especially during the weekend and in the summer, I love a good nap, and this is something that you need to adjust to when you're moving to Spain, some of those cultural differences. And then again, work-life balance. In their case, I was reading in the article that Cristina, she moved on a non-lucrative visa. She may not have experienced this kind of work-life balance, but I've been working in Spain for about 7 years, and I can tell you that priorities are completely different. People don't live to work. People just enjoy life in a different way. So work is also a big thing. Adapting to the different lifestyle and pace is very important when thinking about moving to Spain. Lesson 3, cost of living. This is a big one. Let's look at what Cristina said in this article. So she mentioned, "I noticed that the cheaper homes for rent, you would find them on the outskirts of big cities and in remote areas." So this is a big thing. Affordable places are very hard to get, especially if you are living in the city center, if you're living in big cities, if you're thinking Valencia, you're thinking Madrid, you're thinking Barcelona, you're thinking Sevilla. These places are expensive. And, you've got many people coming from the outside, buying. This is bringing the cost up also. What I mean, there's a massive housing crisis on TV in Spain. That's all you hear about. People go on the street protesting on the island in Mallorca just because, it's not affordable. You've got young people who end up staying at their parents' house until they turn 35, 36 because they just can't afford it, because the salary don't keep up with the rising cost of living. So yes, this is a reality. If you want to get something affordable, you need to go on the outskirts, getting gentrified. I think this is something that's happening everywhere in the world, but in Spain it's a big one. And when you think of the cost of living, there's things that can be cheaper. I guess it depends where you're from and what you're used to. Grocery, dining out can be more budget friendly, I guess. I used to live in London, and I can see that is definitely something I'm saving money on when I'm going out. Transportation is also cheaper because, again, when I lived in London, I remember living in Zone 3 at the time and paying more than £200 a month to go from my place to work, when now you can get a T10 in Barcelona for €11 now. It gets you 10 rides, very affordable, and also the city is super small. It really depends where you want to live, but cost of living is something to have in mind depending on your style of, and there's so many things you need to bear in mind. Cost of living is so broad. How do you live? What's your lifestyle? How many are you? Is it a family of 2? Do you have kids? Do they need to go to school? Do you drive? There's many things to have in mind, honestly. Now, lesson 4. This was an interesting one. So she mentioned the fried and greasy, unhealthy food. I guess this is a common mistake that a new expat can make. In the case of Christina, it seems to me that she fell into kind of the trap of relying too much on, eating out. And like everywhere in the world, fast food is greasy and unhealthy. And actually, Spain is a great place for home cooked. Culture is super strong, and also fruits, vegetables are super affordable. It's very easy. I know I lived in the US for a while, and buying fruits and vegetables was insane. You might as well just buy something more unhealthy, but it was cheaper. But in Spain, it's not the case. A lot of people cook at home. And there's a really beautiful culture around cooking, around eating. There's something that they call here, they're called sobremesa. So after you've eaten, people just spend hours and hours talking after they've eaten. Like it's very cultural. It's a very nice thing to live. So it's a shame to kind of being in Spain and eating tapas every day, because tapas are greasy. Tapas are jamon. Tapas, they are fried potatoes, cream. You want to move away from that. So this was a mistake, and to definitely rely on fast food. Number 5, social integration. So she mentioned that people did not open up. They did not open the house to people very easily. Again, depends on where you're from, what you're used to. I'm French. I don't think people are particularly also, it depends. Again, French is a big statement. I lived close to Paris, so it really depends where you're from, but you've got regional differences. So there might be some regions where people are more open, and it depends, big versus small town. So there's many things to have in mind. But honestly, I think this applies to many, many places in the world, but making friends, it takes time to make friends. And again, I must say, they did come on a non-lucrative visa, meaning that they did not have a job. It means that you need to go the extra mile to socialize with people. You want to be part of social activities. You have the town hall here, they call it ayuntamiento, the town hall. They have a lot of activities that you can take part of at a discounted price. They have a lot of Las Fiestas del Pueblo, like in summer they would celebrate. There's always something to celebrate. There's always you can always help putting together the celebration. You can always get involved. You can play sport. You can do language exchanges. There's so many things that you can do that can allow you to socialize with people. And of course, knowing some Spanish helps. People are very open-minded, but again, it depends. They went to the north of Spain. I think they went to a small village. People, she did say in the article to her defense that she spoke Spanish, so it should have helped with the social integration. But it's a big thing to have in mind when you're moving to Spain. Yes, at the beginning, depending on where you're living. So let's say you're living in Barcelona, you can get away with speaking English. But over time, if you want to build a strong relationship with people, you're going to have to learn a bit of Spanish, and why not a bit of Catalan? This would even, going the extra mile. And I can tell you that your friendship group would grow, especially from with local people. Last but not least, the honeymoon phase. So she mentioned that she started to realize that this was not what she envisioned after a few months. Well, I think this is like everything, in relationships, and when you get a new job at the beginning, you're super excited. Yes, I got the guy. Yes, I got the job. And then over time, you just get used to it. You realize that the guy wasn't that perfect. The job, your boss wasn't so amazing. And the same applies to a new country. So, at first, everything is exciting. Everything that feels new. But the reality can hit also very fast. You've got the bureaucracy, cultural differences, homesickness in their cases. So when you go to Spain, you need to be very grounded. You really need to have a bit of a sense of what to expect. You need to be, setting up expectation versus reality, being fully aware of the pros and the cons, and you need to stay patient and embrace the journey. I've been here for 7 years. The first few years, let's not say I'm still in the honeymoon phase. I'm aware of the bad things that exist in Spain, but I've accepted them. And this has made the experience a lot more enjoyable. So I think it's a big part of it. And having grown a support system, local, expat, also has made my time amazing here. Now, conclusion. Spain, in my opinion, I'm biased, is amazing, but you need proper planning. It is key. Before moving to Spain, you need to do your research. You need to choose the right city properly. You need to be open to adapting to new culture. You need to learn some Spanish because it would help you a lot. So now I'd love for you to share in the comments your experience. If you've moved to Spain, what has been your experience? If you're planning to move to Spain, what are some of the questions that I can help answer? And of course, make sure if you've loved this video, if you enjoyed it, no pressure, but you can subscribe for more Spain relocation tips, and you can follow for updates on real life experiences. This is something that I share quite occasionally, let's say, or which I'll try to share more